Dr. Derrell Peel, our livestock marketing specialist, joins us now. Derrell, let's dive right in and talk about what's happening with feeder cattle markets this fall.
You know, on the lightweight end of things, the calves or the stocker cattle, this time of the year, early fall is always a little bit of a race between the supply and demand conditions in Oklahoma. So we're trying to figure out whether the supply is coming to town ahead of the demand or vice versa.
As we sort this out, let's start with the supply side of things.
You know, on the supply side, of course, we expect a bigger fall run of calves. That's typical in Oklahoma and most of the country, frankly. And so, you know, this year we do know that we have moved a lot of feeder cattle earlier because of the drought conditions. Auction volumes in Oklahoma since the 1st of July are up about 20%. And a smaller percentage of those than normal are cattle over 600 pounds. So we moved a lot of lightweight cattle already. And so that we would expect then that means that we will see a somewhat smaller fall run of calves on the supply side.
With that in mind, what are you seeing in terms of demand for stocker cattle?
Well, the demand picture, of course, in the southern plains is typically one of wheat pasture and demand for those lightweight calves to graze through the winter. Obviously, with the conditions we have right now, there's relatively little prospects for wheat pasture. There's a few folks buying some stocker calves, but it's pretty limited. So it's, you know, again, we've got less supply, less demand. We have to kind of see how those things balance out to figure out what that implies for prices as we go deeper into the fall.
What's happening with big feeder cattle?
You know, the bigger feeder cattle this time of the year are very much in demand by feedlots. Feedlots are looking ahead when they place these cattle to where they're going to sell them in the spring. So they're looking at that April live cattle board versus the June live cattle board typically this time of the year. April is usually higher than June, so right now they're really in favor of those big feeder cattle that will finish before April. There's less of a discount between April and June right now. It's only about $4. It's normally about $6 or $8. So maybe that's a little less pronounced this year. And frankly, the supply of those big feeder cattle of any size are pretty limited. So all in all, the demand is quite good for those.
The year's flying by. What are you seeing as we start heading and looking toward the fourth quarter?
You know, on the stocker cattle, again, we've kind of got this race between supply and demand. We're seeing a little bit of seasonal softness in this market, but I really don't think it's going to be very dramatic as we go forward here for the next couple of 3 weeks. In general, I think supplies are tightening up, and we're going to see that more clearly in the fourth quarter. So I think there's a decent chance before the fourth quarter is over, we may see the highest prices of the year across the board for all of these feeder cattle.
All right, Derrell, thanks a lot. We'll see you again soon.